Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over your second fall forecast for the year of 2020. Now we're going to be going over your precipitation anomaly forecast, your temperature anomaly forecast, as well as my overall forecast at the end of the video, and that will be at the end of the video. So make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end so that you can get your overall forecast. That's probably one of my favorite forecasts to make, the overall forecast. It's just a lot of fun to make, and it's basically showing you on average for the months from September to November what it's going to be, what it's going to generally feel like. Now, also, make sure that you are subscribed and you have your notifications on because I will be releasing my winter forecast within the next coming days later this week. And also, I do pretty much daily videos and forecasts for weather events that are currently ongoing. I cover hurricanes, winter storms, pretty much everything severe weather. So anything that is notable that is currently going on, especially for the United States and in the hurricane season, I also cover parts of the Caribbean. That's usually the types of weather events I'll cover, so make sure you are subscribed if that does intrigue you. Now, here is the current precipitation forecast. This did change a little bit from my previous one, and that's why I felt the need to update it. Now, for parts of the southwest and the south central United States, slightly below average precipitation should be expected, and also for the southeast coast, we have another area of slightly below average precipitation. Now, also, on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that is the date and the time frame that this is valid for. So, from anywhere from September 1st to November 30th, the last day of November, so from the first day of September to the last day of November, that is meteorological fall, and that's usually the time frame I like to use for fall. So this is only where this is valid. This is not valid at any other time frame. It's only valid between September and November. So here is your below average region, your moderately below average region, and this is for parts of eastern and pretty much most of New Mexico and also western Texas, where it is going to be a little bit more noticeable, especially for those regions where, especially in the desert southwest and also, again, parts of western Texas and parts of New Mexico. That's where it's going to be a little bit more profound, more noticeable that it is below average, and this is all compared to your normal. So here is the above average region. This is where you're expecting slightly above average precipitation, and that's going to be for parts of the northwest, and then also another region which is for parts of the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and also into parts of the northeast. Now, this is where it's going to be slightly wetter than normal, and it's not going to be too noticeable, but you will have a fair share of storms move throughout this region. Now, in this darker green region, which is for parts of Washington and Oregon, as well as for parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and then through parts of northern New England and the interior northeast there, that's where you should expect some moderately above average precipitation for this year, and especially with the La Nina pattern that we're going to be undergoing, expect a lot of precipitation, especially throughout these regions. Now, here it is your temperature anomaly forecast, and this is a little bit more exciting here. This is going to show you how it's your temperatures compared to what is normal, and how above or below normal that you should expect them to be. Now, most of the United States looks to be under a broad brush of above average temperatures, but I'm going to kind of break it down, and there will be a couple areas where it is going to actually be slightly below your normal. Now, here over parts of a big chunk of the southwest, the southern and central Rockies, parts of the south central United States, and then also another region there for the Great Lakes and the northeast, that's an area where those are two areas where you should expect higher than normal temperatures for on average for these regions, and that's in your slightly above average region. Now, we do have a moderately above average region, and that is for parts of California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, also for parts of Colorado, and into parts of New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma there, where you are or you should expect some moderately above average temperatures, as well another area there for parts of northern Michigan, as well well as for parts of the northeast, where you should expect some, again, moderately above average temperatures. That is going to be a little bit more noticeable than those areas in that yellow shade. And we actually have a cooler than normal temperature region, and that is going to be for parts of the southeast, especially the south central United States. And this area has actually shifted more westward than what we had last fall forecast. In my previous fall forecast, it was more centered around the coastal regions, so anywhere from about Alabama and parts of Tennessee eastward. That's pretty much where your below average region was. It has shifted further westward as new modeling has indicated that it's going to shift westward, and also just from some of the climatological things that I've been seeing, it does look like this little blob of colder than normal temperatures will be a little bit further to the west. Now, I was also debating whether or not to put a below average region for parts of the northern, especially the northwestern United States, and kind of that little area in the Dakotas, but it wasn't noticeable enough for me to put it there. But just know that you will be maybe tilting slightly below your normal throughout that region as well. Now, here is my overall forecast, and I'm going to go over what each individual color means right here, pretty much right now. So here is your first layer here, and this is where your layer is wet, and this is going to be for parts of Washington and Oregon. This is where I expect it to be a little bit wetter than normal. You're going to have more precipitation move throughout that region, and most likely not too many snow events, mainly just because it's in the fall, and these regions expect their first snowfalls usually in the wintertime. So it's mainly just going to be a combination of rain and some snow in the higher elevation regions, especially. And then for parts of the southwest, we are expecting actually some very, very warm conditions, and that's going to be, again, for the southwest, including parts of California, Arizona, Nevada, and Oregon. Very warm conditions. This is going to be probably the warmest part of the country for this fall. It's just going to be a combination of high averages. So on average, your temperatures are quite high for the fall anyway for these regions. And if you combine that with some above average temperatures and some drier than normal conditions, you are looking at a quite miserable area here, where you're going to be most likely in some very, very warm conditions for this fall. Now, here in this kind of grayish area here, this is where I'm expecting some mountain snow, and most likely for the, especially the northern Rockies, I think it is going to be above average mountain snow for those regions, just because it was also in the area of above average precipitation, and it might even be slightly cooler for the northern Rockies than what is typical. Other than that, the central and southern Rockies should expect near normal to even maybe slightly below normal snowfall, especially for the winter time. That most likely will change a little bit as we get into the winter time, and I'll be releasing my winter forecast within the next coming days. Now, here is your next region here, and this is for this orange region that's kind of kind of surrounding the mountain snow region, and also to the east of that very warm region. This is where I'm expecting not as warm as that red region there, which we just covered over California and Nevada, but it will still be above your normal, and it'll still be fairly noticeable that you're under a fairly warm pattern here, as you might even get a ridge of high pressure to kind of stall out throughout parts of the southwest, and you do see more areas of low pressure and troughing, and more defined areas of high pressure as you start to get into the fall and winter months. The later on you get in the year, especially into parts of November, December, January, February, that's when you're starting to get a very amplified pattern, and what that means is that you'll get more high pressures systems that are more amplified and more profound, and you'll have more low pressure systems that kind of dip down even further and further, especially as you get into the winter time. That's why you get big polar vortexes in the winter, and you also get some areas of really intense heat for parts of the winter, especially over parts of the south. So that is something that I think will actually set up this fall for parts of the southwest, probably a bridge of high pressure just stalling out there. Now, here in this northern plains region, this is where I'm expecting snowy conditions. This is where you could see some snowfall definitely into October, November. So you do have a couple of months in the fall where you could see some snow, and especially with that above average precipitation and potentially slightly below average temperatures, we could see some snowier than normal conditions for those regions. Now, For this gray region, I'm expecting average conditions, nothing too notable in terms of precipitation or in terms of temperatures. So generally just average. Of course, we could have some major event that we can't really forecast happen, but for the most part, it's just going to be an average pattern and nothing too much to note for that region. Now, here's the area where I think the most severe weather is going to occur in for areas throughout Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and that is going to be mainly because this region further to the east, this colder than normal region for parts of the south central and the southeastern United States, basically everywhere west of the Appalachians in the southeast, and that's where you're going to see colder than normal conditions. If you add that with the warmer than normal conditions to the west, that is really where you're going to get differences in temperatures, and that's going to really help fuel some thunderstorms. Thunderstorms really can do very well when you have big differences in pressure, in temperature and pressure, and that can really help these thunderstorms get going. So if you will see some severe weather, it's most likely going to be in this region between Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, and then maybe even into a little bit of the southeast. Now, here is in this green region for parts of the Great Lakes, the interior northeast, as well as parts of the mid-Atlantic. We are expecting wet and warm conditions. It's kind of a very humid region. This is where you're most likely going to see some wetter than normal conditions, warmer than normal conditions, and it's going to overall be a quite humid and sticky environment, especially for September and October. November, things are going to start to get a little bit colder than normal, especially for parts of the Great Lakes. Now, here is your drier than normal condition region. This is going to be for the southeastern United States. Again, expect drier than normal conditions, especially anywhere from South Carolina to Georgia, Alabama, and into Florida. Now, here in this pink region, I'm expecting nor'easters. We've already seen this type of pattern with the Atlantic hurricane season, and there's nothing to really suggest that this pattern is going to go anywhere. So this could in turn lead to quite a bit of nor'easters throughout even the fall months. And as well, also something I do want to note, if we do get a hurricane to potentially move throughout anywhere from North Carolina to Texas, would be the most likely area of any hurricane landfall. That could definitely skew these numbers in terms of precipitation, where you could see maybe a few inches of rain out of one storm, and that could significantly ramp up how much rainfall you've seen on average. So that's something that I really can't take into account. If we were to kind of get rid of all hurricanes, if we didn't have any hurricanes, it's most likely going to be drier than normal. But if you did have a couple of hurricanes move in, you could see this tip slightly above your normal. Now, also for parts of the interior northeast, I'm expecting early snowfall. This is not something that's too uncommon. It's very common for parts of the northern New England region and parts of the interior northeast. Last year, you saw snowfall on the first couple of days of October, and definitely I don't think it will be that early this year, but definitely maybe just a little bit later into mid-October, late October, when you'll see your first snowfall, and that's definitely something that's not off the table and something that looks even more likely to happen this year. So early snowfall, definitely something that could happen this year. Now, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider leaving a like, turning on notifications, and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.